And now, staying with the theme of Bitcoin mining, we go from Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure to Bitfarmes redefining Bitcoin mining for investors. We have the pleasure of having with us today the Chief Mining Officer of Bitfarmes. Please warmly welcome to the stage Mr. Benjamin James Gagnon.
Hello everyone, my name is Ben Gagnon. I'm the Chief Mining Officer for Bitfarmes. We are one of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miners globally, and we've been one of the largest Bitcoin miners in the world for several years, powered by over 99% hydroelectricity. I personally have been mining Bitcoin full-time since 2015 because I'm a true believer. We live in an uncertain and volatile period in human history, defined by boundless fear and optimism, and powered by outdated systems and high-speed technologies. The technological progress currently taking place is so great, so rapid, and so disruptive that the progress we have seen and will see in our lifetimes drastically exceeds the progress that any other lifetime before us has ever seen. From education, commerce, communication, and culture, this technological progress affects nearly every aspect of our lives. And as a result, we now live in a world of abundance, with the most food, doctors, scientists, entrepreneurs, developers, trade, space programs, computation, information, wealth, and the highest quality of life ever recorded. But despite all that, it often seems that things are becoming increasingly difficult, confusing, and expensive. That all this technology that was supposed to make our lives easier, cheaper, and more free has done the opposite, and made our lives harder, costlier, and less free. Because of this, it is easy to become disillusioned, easy to feel confused and to be lost. But we have here today in this very room, and in every other internet-connected room and device around the world, an opportunity to fix what's gone wrong, to change the course of human history, and to create a completely new voluntary economic system powered by Bitcoin. With every year, as Bitcoin expands its reach across the world, it discovers new users, new markets, and new use cases. Its infrastructure, made up of both advanced data centers like Bitfarmes and tiny at-home data centers, expands into new areas, develops new sources of power, and acquires new owners. While the appeal of crypto around the world can be attributed to a myriad of reasons and projects, the appeal of Bitcoin is always the same: to escape the ticking time bomb of inflation, which started over 100 years ago and accelerated with the dissolution of the last remnants of the gold standard nearly 50 years ago. With the exception of Paul Volcker, who was the only central banker since that time to try and run the system with discipline, easy credit and cheap money have quickly become the norm around the world. In 2008, staring at a financial crisis, the world had a choice: to do the hard thing and enforce fiscal responsibility, or take the easy path and do a bailout. Economists, politicians, journalists, and bureaucrats the world over said we had no choice, that we had to implement QE. They said that this would be a special event, a one-off, a once-in-a-lifetime needed fix to the system, and the consequences of not acting would be unimaginable. But they were wrong. It wasn't a one-time thing. It's never a one-time thing. Before long, we had to implement QE2 and QE3 and QE4. And over the last 18 months, the world has collectively overseen the largest expansion of credit and monetary inflation ever recorded, not limited to a few countries like hyperinflation after World War I. This expansion for the first time in history was global. No country, no currency has escaped this trend. The effects are just starting to be seen now. Supply chain disruptions, low labor participation rates, inflation impacting every industry, every commodity, and every pocketbook. There is no way to unwind this. There is no way to taper out. The only way out is through Bitcoin. The mathematics to support Bitcoin as a long-term value investment are so abundantly clear and simple. Bitcoin's current supply is approximately 18.8 million Bitcoin out of 21 million, meaning 89% of all Bitcoins that have ever been mined have already been mined. In the next 10 years, or in the next 14 years, another 10% will be mined. And the remaining 1% will be mined over 100 years following that. Due to the way that new Bitcoins are created and produced through mining, we know, and anybody in the world can verify, exactly how many Bitcoins have, are, or will exist at any point in time, down to a 10-minute interval with an incredibly small margin of error. No matter if you're looking at various commodities or currencies, this level of precision and forecastability is unheard of and unrivaled. Nobody can tell you how much steel or gas or grain or even USD exists right now with a high degree of precision, let alone how much will be produced over the next 1, 10, or 100 years. Bitcoin is entirely unique in this aspect, and it accomplishes this through mining and the difficulty adjustment. By adjusting the difficulty and resetting to 10-minute average block times roughly every 2 weeks, the Bitcoin network ensures that no matter how much or how little investment is made, how much technological progress, how much development happens with Bitcoin mining equipment or infrastructure, the future supply of Bitcoin is entirely predictable and secured at any point in the future. And while Bitcoin supply will increase at exponentially slower and more predictable rates, the supply of currencies around the world are increasing at infinitely faster and less predictable rates. This long-term trend is compounding, inescapable, and the driving force behind Bitcoin regularly establishing new all-time highs, and can be mathematically shown as infinite currency over 21 million Bitcoin. Bitcoin is arguably the freest market in the world. It trades globally and incessantly by passionate and skilled traders who have made Bitcoin an incredibly liquid asset. But as with any free market, it is subject to volatility, to swings, to corrections. This makes Bitcoin famous and world known as a volatile asset. But its true defining characteristic is its predictability in performance and supply. For the first time in history, Bitcoin provides anyone, anywhere in the world, with the technological means to escape inflation. And with this last year, Bitcoin is now being embraced by both individuals and boardrooms around the world as the premier hedge against inflation. Because the question is no longer whether or not Bitcoin is good, whether or not Bitcoin will last, but whether or not Bitcoin is necessary in a portfolio, but when and how to get exposure to Bitcoin, which are tricky questions for people new to this industry. What kind of exposure should you have? Which platforms should you use? Which tools do you use to keep things safe? Whom do you trust? And how, most importantly, when do you enter and at what price? For many people, the simplest answer has always been to buy and hodl for the long term. While this is easy and effective, this is far from optimal. Mistiming these trades can easily destroy your portfolio. And while the long-term trend of Bitcoin is clear and predictable, this short-term volatility scares and prohibits many new market participants. But buying Bitcoin is only one strategy. There exists another way. Like any other technology play today, whether it be Google, Apple, Facebook, or Twitter, data centers are what drives and enables the technology. Data centers are the largely invisible and irreplaceable foundation of the world, and as such are the most foundational investment anyone can make into technology. Amazon's AWS is a great example of how fast the data center is growing, how valuable computation markets are, and how insatiable the demand is for compute. Last quarter, Amazon's AWS grew 39% in 3 months. Bitcoin mining is the exact same thing for Bitcoin. Bitcoin companies and projects may come and go, but mining itself is irreplaceable. It is the foundational layer that enables all of this. And as Bitcoin grows, so does the security of the network. Last month, we increased our Bitcoin production 12.5%. This is entirely a similar metric to how fast AWS is growing. Despite the halvings that take place every 4 years, which cut the block rewards of new Bitcoins in half, and the exponential increase in network hash rate, the Bitcoin mining industry continues to grow and shows stopping. Starting from humble beginnings of a few computers, the incentive to secure the network has created an entirely new industry for compute, which has grown at a tremendous pace and completely organically. Despite the block reward being 87.5% smaller than when Bitcoin launched and an exponential growth in hash rate, the current value of the Bitcoin mining industry is at its highest point ever, currently worth over $21 billion and approximately 60 million USD worth of new Bitcoins being generated through mining for significantly below market cost. Whether it is a 5-year-old Bitmain S9 or the most efficient miner you can buy and operate today, a Bitmain S19j Pro, Bitcoin miners are mining and acquiring Bitcoin with incredible margins well below market value. With fixed electricity pricing, rents, and labor, Bitfarms' cost to operate a Bitcoin miner remains constant. It is only the revenue, measured in BTC or USD, that changes over time. Operating cost means as the price of Bitcoin grows, so does our upside in margins. And when Bitcoin is in a bull market, the price of Bitcoin can, and historically does, grow significantly faster than new miners can be manufactured and installed. This gap means that properly managed Bitcoin mining companies function as a leverage play to Bitcoin. Typically, leverage comes with increased risks, but with such low cost to produce a Bitcoin relative to market prices and established support levels, Bitfarms is already effectively hedged against downside. But mining is now all about scale. While a single Bitcoin miner could have mined hundreds of Bitcoins a day when Bitcoin started, it now takes thousands of miners to mine a single Bitcoin in a day. This Bitcoin mining economy scale is like a Nike swoosh. It makes some sense at small scale, is incredibly difficult in the middle, and makes a ton of sense at industrial scale. Running 1 or 2 machines is obviously simple and easy. It doesn't take a lot of work, engineering, or outside contractors, and a lot of people can do this in their existing homes, garages, or businesses. But operating hundreds or tens of thousands of machines is a very different game. Between sourcing low-cost industrial scale power, designing and constructing highly specialized data centers and HVAC systems, training and retaining the specialized labor that is needed to operate, maintain, and repair equipment quickly to ensure consistent revenues and strong profitability, and the capital, market understandings, and strategies it takes to develop these farms, purchase large quantities of miners, and scaling at the right times and the right locations. It is incredibly difficult to compete with the biggest players in the industry. And why would you even want to? You do not make your own toothpaste, cars, computers, or iPhones. You trust large industrial corporations to do that for you because they can do it cheaper, faster, better, and easier. The industry is evolving every year, and public miners like Bitfarms give you the same exposure to this fast-growing industry, with all the advantages of scale and none of the overhead or hassles. This is where Bitfarms has the advantage. Founded in 2017, Bitfarms is by far the largest Bitcoin miner in one of the most abundant and cost-effective hydroelectric regions in the world, Quebec, Canada, where there exists enough excess hydropower to run the entire Bitcoin network, giving us a huge opportunity and advantage to scale operations with cost-effective, clean hydropower and multiple decentralized facilities spread throughout the province. But we are not stopping there. We are becoming a global player, expanding into Paraguay and Argentina at a rapid pace and integrating with energy companies while exploring new opportunities in the US and abroad. Bitfarms has over 4 years of experience building, designing, and operating these facilities. We have our own electrical engineering company, full operations team, in-house developers, finance and accounting teams, and an in-house repair lab. We are consistently improving upon our facility designs and efficiency over multiple years of operations and generations of Bitcoin miners. Bitfarms has developed one of the most skilled and experienced teams in the world. Our operations team is able to install over 2,000 miners in under 24 hours. And with our proprietary management software, we maintain some of the highest uptimes in the industry. Our executive team is filled with experts in Bitcoin mining, finance, electrical engineering, public markets, and project management that cumulatively have decades of experience in each category. Bitfarms has achieved industrial scale. We have powered approximately 1% of the Bitcoin network for several years and are currently doubling the amount of our farms, tripling our installed electrical capacity, and quadrupling our hash rate between now and the end of 2022, which is expected to vastly outpace network growth, gaining market share and generating more Bitcoins every day as a result. Bitfarms has integrity. We are currently the only publicly traded Bitcoin miner audited by a Big Four firm, and we have done so since 2018. We did not enter the market through an RTO or a SPAC. We walked in the front door with the Ontario Securities Exchange Commission and the SEC. We answered every question. We fulfilled every requirement. We didn't do this because it was easier. We did it because we knew it was necessary to provide confidence in our numbers and operations to investors when they were looking to invest in this new and emerging industry. Bitfarms has community. We currently have approximately 70% of retail investors, many of whom are long-term holders around the world, and are either one of the largest or one of the largest allocations of numerous Bitcoin mining ETFs. They have all picked Bitfarms as one of their favorite horses because they understand the unique value we have as a company and whom actively cheer and promote our company and brand in person and online to other investors. Bitfarms has conviction. We did not pivot from another business to mining because it was hot or because it was topical. We have always been miners. We will always be miners because we understand and believe in the positive technological transformation that Bitcoin is bringing to the world. Many members on our executive and operations team have been mining Bitcoin for years, experiencing the joys of bull markets and surviving halvings and bear markets. Finally, Bitfarms has a vision. We are here for the long term. With vertically integrated operations, decentralized global facilities, clean and cost-effective power sources, governance, auditable and verifiable numbers, and huge amounts of Bitcoin being mined and added to Treasury every day, and an 8 exahash end of 2022 target, we will be one of the largest and most trusted Bitcoin miners in the world. And we want you to be a part of that. In the words of the late, great JFK, some may say, why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why fly across the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one that we are unwilling to postpone, and one that we intend to win. We are Bitfarms. Come join us on NASDAQ, and let's go moon.